When English.
That's all the chede if you
Fanglish.
On the chede if you mean the bia.
Hey, Gabs. Ah. We may general the one.
I knew you were going to say that.
Auntie Rhoda, how are you? Now recording. We sure do, yeah. Hey, see, I was saying, economy now fine. Then why dry?
Okay, we go to our contractors from next week. So
now I'm a contractor.
Oh, so that's a contractor. Say if you're a contractor.
Ah, maybe.
Yes,
I mean maybe.
But it will trickle down.
I asked you. This morning we've tabled a number of issues for our conversation, and hundreds of Sudanese migrants deported from eastern Libya amid crackdown. National Cathedral Bruhaha Imani calls for prosecution. NPP delegates conference. Baumia drowns Ken Brian Galamsey fight the story so far. These are the topics we have tabled for this morning's conversation. I want to encourage all of you to kindly share your views and thoughts with us here on Pan-African Television. Indeed, once you are able to share your views and comments, we will be more than willing to read them out for you here on the show. We are streaming live on Facebook, facebook.com/Pan-African Television, and also on YouTube as well. So for those of you who wish to send us message via those platforms, you can do so easily, right? Yeah. Text number is also very active. That's more of a Asham the my Rebecca.
Rebecca, that's no composition.
And just short there, them post is not here now, affect you now. Okay, Martin. I'm the on now affect must be a good one. Hey, okay, so let me start with the National Cathedral matter.
Why don't you rather start with Libya, Claire,
no,
or international affairs?
We'll do it. The National Cathedral has different angles, and I'm sure we are going to discuss all the other angles.
Because
the Libyan issue?
Yes, the Sudanese
okay, let me just read a little bit of the story.
Phenomena.
Right. Eastern Libya authorities have deported hundreds of Sudanese nationals to their war-stricken homeland as part of what's happening here. Okay, as part of an intensified clampdown on irregular migration and human trafficking. The mass expulsion marks a troubling chapter for many Sudanese who fled violence only to face further hardship in Libya. The statement cited several reasons for the deportations, including infectious diseases such as hepatitis and AIDS, criminal records, and undisclosed security reasons. This operation is the latest in an ongoing anti-smuggling campaign led by forces loyal to Eastern Military Commander Khalifa Hifter. Authorities have stepped up raids across key trafficking corridors in eastern and southern Libya. Just last week, the Libyan Coast Guard reportedly intercepted a vessel off the coast of Tobruk, carrying 80 migrants bound for Europe. Earlier this month, a dramatic raid in the town of Ajdabiya uncovered a trafficking warehouse where 104 Sudanese migrants, including women and children, were being held captive. They were freed by local security forces. Libya, with its long Mediterranean coastline and porous borders, has become a major route for migrants fleeing conflict and poverty across Africa and the Middle East. The country's political instability since 2011 NATO-backed ousting of Muammar Gaddafi has fueled a thriving illicit trade in human movement, aided by a patchwork of rival government and armed militias. Many of the deported Sudanese had originally sought refuge in Libya following the outbreak of conflict in Sudan in 2023. A power struggle between the Sudanese military and the rapid support forces triggered widespread violence and displacement. Gabi.
Yes, and the reason why I wanted us to tackle it first is to draw attention to the challenge of international refugees who are attempting to claim status in Libya, which has not signed up to the International Convention on Refugees in the first place. So there's no national asylum system existence in Libya. But you know, the international protocols mandate that when refugees come into your country for asylum, the onus is on the government to provide those reliefs to citizens of whichever country. And that's why when we have people migrating from Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, and the rest into a part of our streets and all that, there's a certain humanity function that we exhibit towards them. But in this case, these Sudanese are being deported back into a war-torn country. So it's from fire to frying pan. Frying pan now rejects fire and sends fire back sends the coal back to fire. How would they find any respite? Where's the humanity element in what is going on? And aside this thing with the Sudanese, Libya, we all understand, or we've now all come to appreciate that it's a transit for a lot of migrants who want to go to Europe. And it's not just Sudanese. We have Ghanaians, other Nigerians, Ivorians, Togolese, Beninois. The whole of sub-Saharan Africa is trying to enter Europe through Libya. Libya is, as you mentioned, after the outskirts of Gaddafi, has not been the same. So even within its government structure, there's some weaknesses and inefficiencies, you see, in providing some form of stability and relief. And we have our people too who are also going there to transit out. And all the challenges, drugs, abuses, trafficking, human trafficking, murders for body parts. There's a dark market, racketeers of slavery within that system. And yet, the world, it appears, is silent on the status of all these people who want better opportunities, and all these people who are trying to find safety within a country called Libya.
Right.
And that is why you have to trumpet the story.
This story.
It's not just the Sudanese.
Right.
It's our colleagues, our brothers and sisters who also want to. I'm not an apostle of migration to Europe.
Right.
The last time I went and did something similar, they started searching my LinkedIn and all my profiles. So I've stopped saying that thing, that transit, even though they will not have visa-free access to Morocco, I'm not going to tell anybody to go on those routes. I've repented. But the phenomenon exists. Hey, Charlie, the Netherlands people were on my page, my own Hungarians were on my page, and I was like, maybe they did profiling and they saw that I'm not a common person like that. So I read between the lines and I said, for my own sake, you never know when one day I'll also need their visa to travel there. So before somebody blacklists me for pushing for migration, illegal migration.
Okay, well, now that you've attached illegal to it, I'm not sure you are opposed to migration in its entirety.
Not at all.
Yeah, they are
because migration brings us remittances.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I can't be against migration.
And then again, you see the conversation, you quite forcefully elucidated, matters relative to the ousting of Gaddafi and its,
consequences.
Yes, on the Libyan people and by extension, yes, Africa. And so if that had not happened, perhaps because Yunus Afuseni Honorable kept telling me that he taught in Libya. I mean, he lived in Libya. He literally lived in Libya when Muammar Gaddafi was the president, and at the time, everybody was okay.
Yeah, everybody was okay.
Yeah, so they masterminded the extermination of Muammar Gaddafi, destabilized the country, and left it at yesterday. Surprisingly, as if we knew we were going to discuss this topic this morning, I was on YouTube, and then a video popped up of a lady. I think she was addressing a panel, and made a very profound statement to the effect that when African leaders at a time when Muammar Gaddafi was being targeted,
all sat back and watched.
They all sat back. No, they didn't really sit back. In fact, they wanted a diplomatic way of dealing with it, and the external forces told them that, well, we can't guarantee your safety, and so they had to all now backtrack. But that's the extent of the influence and control that the West, continue to hold over the African countries, and it's quite sad, really.
But now the United Nations, because of conversations with my sister, the United Nations is attempting to bring in Libya. The United Nations is now trying to bring in a democratic government. So they are doing a lot of stakeholder meetings with the various, Libya is now divided into the eastern and the western.
Yes.
So they are trying to work with both sides, some of the militia leaders, clan heads, imams, and their sects, and all these various groupings to try and get a general buy-in on a workable solution to Libya. So we just have to encourage that process to go on and to even be enhanced for a functioning government that will allow the nation of Libya to sign up to conventions that protect other citizens. Because throughout generations, migration is a constant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the international bodies have the responsibility to ensure that there is safe migration and there is safety in asylum seekers. And so that really is where the conversation and the decisions ought to be.
Madam Rodlin, as a Pan-Africanist, I mean, when you read stories like these, it's I'm sure you shriek and shrink because of how we are treating ourselves as, a compact collective people who are supposed to amplify the indignation created by reason of our leaders' inability, really, to bring about the desired change that we are looking for, right? And so that is why people would want to migrate, that's why people want to leave, and things like that. But when you migrate to, let's say, another African country, and you hear some of these stories, like for instance, the xenophobia in South Africa, and in time past, you're looking at, Ghana must go, you're looking at the reprisal attacks, etc. I mean, it feeds into a broader narrative of us not being able to move beyond the comfort of, what we think we need as like a single country, as opposed to what all of us need. Because again, when you read a lot of the socialism books, it tells you that our material conditions are not far removed from the other. So when you go to, for instance, Togo, you look at the things that we are faced with in Ghana, and you find the same things in Togo, you find the same things in Abidjan, you find the same things in Burkina Faso. So it's more like our material conditions are interconnected, right? But that interconnectivity of our material conditions have not created a pathway that will fully liberate us, so that somebody can go to Libya and go and live and settle, somebody can go to Nigeria without visa, go and live and settle, and things like that. And that has created this intra-travel, like for instance, people are saying traveling within the African continent is even more expensive than traveling outside. So it's all like, I don't know how to put it, but like an embodiment of obfuscated facts and matters and all of those things.
I'd like to say good morning to our viewers and to the rest of us here. I'm not feeling too well today anyway.
You are not?
No, I'm not.
I'm so sorry. Malaria?
No, not malaria.
Okay.
Yeah. So, migration is good. And I don't fault any country returning other people, because somehow that is what it has become. Libya is not a democratic state. Libya has its own problems, and you can't love other people more than yourself.
Yes.
And so if they are miscreants, or if you have problems with people, I think you have a right to decide as to what to do with them. Even for us as Ghanaians, we've been able to send people back to Chad, to wherever they came from. And those things should be normal things. We're even seeing the U.S. returning people, even not even bringing other nationals into Africa, wanting to bring them into Africa, asking us to take criminals, and stuff, and we're rejecting. Why? Because we feel they are not part of us. Yeah. So if Libya is returning Sudanese, I mean, hey, Libya and Sudan, I don't know the difference. For me, that's how I look at it, regardless of the fact that we are doing Pan-Africanism and the likes. Our leaders have not helped us, and that is where the problem is. There's no reason why I can't go and just live in Gambia and start a business, and I have to go through a lot of administrative things. No, I shouldn't do that. But this is how it has become. We've been divided along ethnic lines, along tribal lines, along all kinds of lines have been drawn to kind of like split us as a continent. And so every day we will suffer from these things. But at the end of it all is our governance structures in our various regions or countries. Some have had it good, so they might not. What you might term as xenophobic in South Africa must be to the South African not xenophobic because of the conditions that he or she finds herself in and the things that happen. You understand? Let's not talk. Just recent in Ghana here, we talked about Igbos, and we are still talking about them. Is that xenophobia? No. It's just a group of people calling out. We don't want this. We don't want that. If you're going to bring this kind of attitude, we don't want it. So if a country is struggling with, let's say, health, security and the likes, and then you have a lot of people coming in, you're telling them that these are HIV positive, they are smuggling, they are doing all sorts of illicit businesses, and we have to send them back. You are not sending them back to Nigeria, you're not bringing Sudanese to Ghana. Definitely you have to take them back to where they are coming from. And you and I know that it's not everybody who is living a country. A lot of Ghanaians go to seek for asylum in other countries, not because they cannot make a living here, but they are economic asylum seekers. Very few people really run away because unless there's a strife, something coming up, people make up stories. You understand? So all over the world, these things are beginning to take shape. Everybody wanting to have their space because things are difficult everywhere. And therefore, you look at yourself first before you look at those who are out there. So Sudan is a different story. The two Sudanese countries, I should put South and then the other one. But at the end of it all, I think that Libya must have had a good reason. No government structure, nothing, and they just felt choked, and so they had to send them back. And it's now left to the government of Sudan to receive them. After all, they are Sudanese. I don't think they're going to line them up and shoot them. I don't think so. So they will have to find ways and means of integrating them back into the society and then whatever it is. And but if you're a criminal from Sudan and you run into Libya and you are sent back, then you must know that you face the law. Just like how we are sitting here. I mean, if you're a criminal and you run to any other place and you are brought back, you must face the law, clear yourself, or you be found wanting for whatever you did.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Auntie Rodley, for your submission. Let me say a special good morning to the CEO of NIB Bank, Dr. Doliwura Zakaria. You're doing a very good job. I've seen.
Then I also greet his deputy.
Okay. What's his name?
Emisa, Mr.
Emisa.
Emisa.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen that you guys are recording profits. That's very good. I didn't think NIB was that profitable.
National Investment Bank.
Oh.
But how do you chip in?
Yes, you can.
These refugees are coming from, these deportees are coming from the eastern side of Libya, which is under militia control. So it's not really the government.
Yeah. But is there a government in Libya?
Well, they have a leadership system, and these ones are under the militia, and it's those sites that are also most notorious for a lot of the negativity. But you see, there's nowhere in the narration that it's been written that these people are criminals and
that's what I read.
Sick people.
That's what I read.
And all that. They once they want to get rid of you, they'll find every adjective to label you, to exit you. But the conversation, I think, and you are free to disagree, but the conversation, I think, looking at the conditions of both nations, and from the fact that these are both African countries within the African continent, and how we relate to each other, there has to be some framework of some sort, even if it's through the AU. There has to be some framework of some sort on how you protect migration across war-torn or unstable territories. Without, even if they've not signed up to a UN convention or any convention on migration, the continental leadership has to show some solution. You understand?
Yeah.
That's the point I want to pass across.
Who's the head of the AU today?
I don't even know who that.
Do I even know?
You say we don't know.
He was recently elected, right?
There's no functioning bloc out there. So that's the only way they can do it, to please themselves.
That's one that was recently.
We used to know who the
elected.
AU boss was and who the ECOWAS boss was, and now we don't. The whole thing's gone down.
The house for ECOWAS, we know it's Tinubu.
It's Tinubu.
or he's finished.
I think he's finished too. I think he's finished.
Anyway, let's move on to, okay, well, let me go for this quick commercial break. When I return, we'll look at the issue surrounding the National Cathedral and the fact that the money is calling for prosecution. Quick commercial break, stay with us.
That's one day.
Hello, Madam Bola. How are you and how is Lagos?
Kwame, Lagos day oh. How is Accra?
Accra is fine. We can't complain. Are my fabrics on the way?
Yes, I hope my money is also on the way.
As we speak, my accountant is sending money to you and others at GCB.
Money joins.
That is a lifesaver.
Yeah, Lady D. What's up, baby?
Tia, I got the money.
Oh, that's beautiful. It was fast.
Oh, and guess what? It was so easy and faster than I thought.
I'm busy right now. Let me call you back later, yeah? All right. Love you, baby.
See you soon. Bye.
From country to country, make seamless transactions across Africa with GCB. For more information on PABs and how to get started, call toll free on 0800 422 422.
GCB, your bank for life.
From that quick commercial break, you're still watching the news review segment here on Pan-African Television with me, Kwame Usuda. So, Gabi is here, Auntie Rodlin is also here. Let me start with you, actually. This National Cathedral matter. You don't want to talk
I'm tired of the National Cathedral matter.
Why? Why are you tired? You can't be tired.
I don't know why we don't want to understand the situation where we have a pit after spending so much money and people are still trying to justify the expenditure. I've listened to Ofosu Kwache, or the Kwache Ofosu, and he has explained and still people are not taking it in. We've had two, I think the first one was KPMG doing an audit, and then we had Deloitte & Touche also doing an audit. And in all this, we are still not getting the full story. I think that we should go ahead. If we have anything against anyone, let us start prosecuting people. We should prosecute people. And for the rest of us who have followed the story, that is what we expected to happen. Unfortunately, it's not happening because there's still a lot more, probably, evidence to gather. But at the end of it all, the National Cathedral project is not a phantom project. If you drive around, you can see it. You can see what happened there. You can see the destruction that went into just giving us a pit, and then the monies that were spent. And we've been giving snippets of the kinds of expenditure that each individual made, and we were told that until a few days ago, when the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, decided to suspend the board members, or to cap up the board members, they were still took us so long, to get this done. So there's so much that the National Cathedral is involved in, and every sort of, we seem to be fighting a certain community. I don't want to say a Christian community, because it's not all the Christians, but a certain faction within the Christian community is really fighting hard to get this project done. And the rest of us know that so long as there was state funding in it and the state has decided that it is not interested, that's end of story. So the only thing left now is for us to dig into it, and whoever has spent money or cannot account for the various money spent must be prosecuted. That's how it's supposed to be.
Gabs.
You know,
have you read the report, though?
Bits and pieces of it. You know, within the spirit of the 1992 Constitution, Ghana is structured around the concept of what a secular state should be. And so because we have different religions being practiced, although the majority is Christianity, the Constitution, to promote religious harmony and tolerance, deliberately shelves the states from religion. So the idea that a person makes a covenant with God to win an election and then draws in a community, which is a very faith-filled community, to participate in a venture that seeks to promote, from the, again, to the people who are pushing for the cathedral, national unity. I wrote the three fundamental ideals behind the cathedral: national unity, religious faith, and cultural identity. But yet, you appreciate that surely then, if we are building a cathedral, then the idea of a God must exist. And then if we are building a cathedral for a God, that God himself has established his rules in the book that we all reference as the Bible. Now, we have brought a concept of religion into statesmanship, into the state's governance. And so we are building a house for God to promote national unity, religious faith, and cultural identity. However, that whole structure, that whole project is engulfed with all kinds of misappropriation. The books are not balancing. You know, I was listening to Felix when he was doing the press briefing, and how they were trying to reconcile payments made to David AJ versus what stuff of the president accounts for as what's it called, balances to be paid. The Nehemiah Group, what the office of the president transition reports, handing over notes say ought to be paid them versus what has been paid and what they are demanding. There are a lot of reconciliation issues around payment of this project. There's a lot of procedural breaches around this project. There's a lot of I want to use a word that procurement breaches that exist, but I don't want to use the word lies, but dishonesty is more diplomatic. There's quite a bit of dishonesty around this project. Now, even in the Bible, for the people who were allowed to build temples for God, David, for example, he was so straight. You can't build me a temple because your hands is full of people's blood. You shed too much blood to build me a temple. That you tell that you want to build a temple for somebody who has his distinct desires and needs. Now all our everything around our cathedral is shrouded in whatever it is. The books don't balance. The money can't be accounted for. You know, they made Christians do mobile money, almost 38 million. And if I want to head that figure, I was like, hey, then Ghanaians you fall so. And that's why I went back to the element of the faith, because that should tell you how much Christians want to contribute to the body of Christ or the work of God. But this simple thing has become something mania. And to be very honest, I think it's okay that the president would want to convert it into something different. The churches can have a conversation on having a national cathedral sponsored by the church, which is very, very fine. And I'm sure the Christian body will contribute to something, an edifice like that, if we want to unite all our faiths and say, despite charismatism, Catholicism, Methodism, Presbyterianism, all these Platonisms, Zionism, we can have one big edifice and say this will do for the work of God. But for the substantive issue of the National Cathedral, those who are calling for prosecutions, it has to happen. How can you release so much money to David AJ for drawings when even PPPA technical committee has not completed assessing his viability of he being the architect on the project, and we've already gone ahead and made payments. That's not the only one. Nehemiah Group, they should go and find money for us, and we rather paying monies to them. So why did we engage them to go and look for money to come and fund the project? There's a whole lot of issues around this. You know, earlier on when the Deloitte report came, not to politicize the matter, but when the Deloitte report came, I saw my friends in the LPP very excited that NDC misled Ghanaians. But fact is fact. Truth is truth. We were paying people before they even did their job. We have overpaid people, and those people are still demanding invoices from us for jobs that we can't even see. When we're selling the idea of the cathedral to us, first it was 58, it went to 100 million. Now they're even projecting that the thing is going to cost us 400 million if we go ahead with the cathedral. And the cost keeps escalating. The project's characteristics is all over the place. We now have a big construction site that has now left us a laughing stock because we even went and cheated God.
Solomon also said it should be converted to a tourist site. And then we will erect a big billboard with the inscription,
Ghana's attempt at a cathedral.
No, it says, this is a demonstration of how not to govern.
Now we have this huge sunken cost.
This matter has been, okay, so now the National Cathedral, I think that all of us are settled in our
now
minds.
Now it's going to be constructed into a convention center.
Proper investigations conducted.
Yes.
Prosecutions beginning.
Yes. People have to be, the word on the street does it.
Yesterday my confusion, respectfully, was that, there's a tendency for us, because if you look at the population, Christians are more, to sort of look at the issues from religious perspective as opposed to national perspective. And so when we start prosecuting pastors, people will now and things like that. That's my only fear.
But even the lady who was recently sent out to cry, people will also complain.
That's the whole
so
point.
It's as for that one.
Yeah, I agree with you,
the law, as somebody said, the law is the law.
She is not really a respected
Who says?
Pastor so-called. Not by the country. I mean,
you haven't heard them quoting Paul and Silas and all kinds of scripture.
A congregation believes in her.
Okay. So, you know this. Let's just touch on this briefly. You know this thing about contract extension for retired officers. It's becoming a thing, and I think NDC kicked against it. Yeah. But now it appears NDC wants to do the same thing.
Who's contract?
So we are learning, media guys. Yeah. So yeah, but for the security agencies. So media guys forwarded something to me yesterday, and they were all outraged. You know that, but it's like when you do these things, you are also preventing other people from growing. You know.
I don't think there's anything like that in there.
You sure?
The security agency.
Yes.
Contract.
Because we are learning that. You see, there's some COP Michael in Ketia. He's the Director General of Finance. He's been handed a 2-year contract extension without recourse to Police Council.
Was he doing any
by the current IGP?
No, not by the current IGP. I don't want to mention the person's name.
The former IGP?
No. This current administration. The person who did that is...
Who has the power to do that?
So that's a very good question. So either the president or the chief of staff.
So who has the power to do
but
that?
my thing has not even got to do with who did that. Like, it is something the NDC kicked against. Do you remember? Like, it's something the NDC is opposed to.
And you're doing that. The NDC has kicked against all forms of contracts.
Absolutely.
That's what I heard.
Absolutely.
I've had people call me to say that they have gone on retirement and they were hoping that they would get something to do.
Yes.
You know, and unfortunately, the party has decided against it. So I don't know where this one
because
is. Unless the person has a specific job description.
Director of Finance.
So it's a green letter extension.
So if it's
green letter extension.
Okay, if it's a green letter extension, I'm not going to comment because the last time I commented on any of those things, I became persona non grata and they were insulting me left, right, and center. So I will not comment on any green
I think it's a matter of principle. And you know, they say principles are either wholly kept or wholly abandoned. The point is that President Mahama was clear that no civil servant will be given a contract extension.
Civil servants.
When the person is due for retirement.
Yeah, and that's
so.
And he hasn't done that.
So now, So right now, the green letter suggests that there's going to be a 2-year extension for the Director General of Finance. You understand?
Let me get something. Let me
some extra time to.
Or maybe he's doing something.
What is he doing?
No, I don't know, but
but all those people who are giving contract extensions that the ADC case, when they do something.
No, it's
just principles.
No, I'm only trying to say that I don't remember having security agencies giving extensions or contracts and those things.
Yes.
So with the police, we just talked about the civil service. Are we now putting the police into the civil service sector? Are you getting me? Because for me, the civil service has already come out. The NDC is not going to give any, or the president is not going to extend. There's no contract for any civil servant.
Yeah.
So now this is coming from a security agency. That's the police, right?
Yes.
So that's what I'm asking. Is there something? Is it that maybe, let's just assume that maybe he's on a board or something for a United Nations or something, and he has to finish his term. I don't know, but maybe there's a reason. There must be a good reason.
There must be a good reason. From where I sit, because you see, and all the journalists are NDC affiliated journalists who forwarded the message to me, and they were having a serious debate and very upset about what has happened, because they are saying that when these things happen, then it means that there's an agenda to sort of create a certain office for those persons whose terms have been extended. Do you understand? So that is, and they are, beyond even that, they are saying that, listen, this is not a time for such things to happen, especially when under Dampare, people criticize him for taking certain decisions or for doing X, Y, Z, and then NDC comes to power, and it appears NDC is doing the exact same thing. That's the problem.
The problem is, for me, I don't see a problem.
I mean, contract extension for finance, Director General Finance or something for Ghana Police Service for 2 years. It's due to retire very soon. I would say that we don't have other people who can do that.
It depends.
Serious.
But we don't know. We don't know. I think we
comment.
don't know. We don't know the circumstances.
When the nurses went on demo, when the nurses decided not to go to work, I listened to you until now. There's no justification at all. There can't be any justification. Because I listened to you.
Yeah.
And you were fuming with, with indignation. That listen, Charlie, you have service to render. So if you go
she said they should go and bring retirees.
So she is for retirement, so now I even know where the classes are. That's why you know the want to go and retire.
She was the one who misled.
She didn't mislead anybody.
I didn't mislead who?
She didn't mislead anybody.
Say that.
I didn't mislead the minister.
No, she made
in certain places it did help.
Yeah.
But in
These
Ghana,
even in Ghana it did help. You don't expect. Look, let's not go into that. Let's not go into that because for me, I still stand on where I'm standing.
No, but that point was valid.
When it comes to health service,
As a matter of fact.